Mohammed Chouveau is about to die. He is severely dehydrated and going into shock. His life now depends on the staff of Dhaka Hospital, better known to Bangladeshis as the Cholera Hospital.
Patient also is I think it will be cholera because diarrhea starts from the morning. From the morning to this evening, within very short duration, the patient is collapsed. Now he has no pulse. So it is the medical emergency. So we give the double channel here by two hands. If within 10 minutes or 12 minutes, if he didn't arrive here, he will be dying.
An intravenous drip containing a saline solution has a miraculous effect on cholera patients. In half an hour, Mohammed Chouveau regains consciousness. Nearby, the life or death drama repeats itself. Cholera outbreaks are regular events in Dhaka. Once it starts, the disease spreads quickly. Catherine Costa, a nurse at Dhaka Hospital, is on day 3 of a new cholera epidemic.
So this is the emergency area where the patient first come. If the patient has severe dehydration is a medical emergency. So as early as possible, we try to give her IV intravenous infusion. Here you can say there are so many IV are ready that we count a minute in second.
In the past 2 years, the hospital has treated record numbers of patients, sometimes 1,000 people a day. On this day, a new patient comes every 2 minutes. By late afternoon, nearly all the beds in the emergency ward are full.
So this is the emergency area. All severe dehydration cases are treated here. If an adult patient, his weight is 60 kg, then we give at least 1 liter in 800 ml. And after getting that amount of fluid, his pulse will be revived and patient renal condition will be improved. And he can talk, he can see. Then we send the patient to this side to our tent or our general ward.
With the epidemic now in full swing, there are so many patients that the hospital must set up an extra ward in the parking lot.
We often refer to it here as a silent killer. Under the microscope, you can look at it under the microscope. It's not very small, and you can see it swimming across the field, so you can get some sort of physical sense of its appearance. And wherever there is human misery and suffering, you will find cholera.
এরকম হ্যাঁ ভালো জায়গায় আসছি তো ভালো লাগতেছে এখানে এসে আগের চেয়ে মোটামুটি খুবই ভালো লাগতেছে এখানে আসার পর স্যালাইন লাগানোর পর এখন খুবই ভালো লাগতেছে তারপর ওইটা খেয়ে এই অবস্থা হচ্ছে পানিটা খেয়ে তারপরে এই অবস্থা হচ্ছে
Just 2 days later, Mohammed Chouveau is coming home.
যেটা দেখতেছেন এটা আমাদের বাসা আর এখানে আমরা ফ্যামিলি সহকারে সবাই থাকি সবাই আমরা এখানে বসবাস করি এখানে থাকি আমরা 5 জন এই যে আমার ভাস্তি আমার আম্মা আমার ভাই আমি ভাবি এখানেই মানে আমরা বসবাস করি তারপর সামনে যেখানে কল দেখেছি ওইখানে মনে করেন যে সবাই পানির খাওয়া দাওয়ার ব্যবস্থা হয়, তারপর রান্নার ব্যবস্থা হয়, তারপর লেগে আরও অনেক করা হয়। তারপর এই যে এখানে সামনে কল আছে, এখানে অনেকে থাকতেছে, চলেন সামনে অনেক কিছু চলছে।
Clean water is perhaps Dhaka's most precious commodity. Mohammed Shuvo and his neighbours rely on a network of decrepit pipes. They fear the water is contaminated, but have no choice but to use it.
আর পানি থেকে প্রায় এক সপ্তাহ 8-9 দিন হবে এরকম মানে পানিটা দুর্গন্ধ করতেছে।
This is Mohammed Shuvo's neighbourhood. Dhaka is one of the world's fastest growing megacities. It is home to 13 million people and counting. Most people here get their water from deep beneath the earth. There are more than 500 water pumps in Dhaka working around the clock. But during the hot season, those pumps are crippled by power shortages, and in many neighbourhoods, the water simply dries up. At Raya Bazaar, on the outskirts of Dhaka, people are waiting anxiously for the city's water authority to deliver an emergency supply. One of them is Farida Kamal.
পানি অনেক মানে কয়দিন ধরে 3 দিন 2 বার সকালে একবার দিতে, একদিন 12টা বাজে একদিন দিতে, আর কালকে শুক্রবার গেছে, কালকে 5টা বাজে। সকালে সেই 4টার আগে থেকে লাইন ধরে থুয়েছি, তারপরেও সিরিয়াল পাওয়া যায় না, ধাক্কাধাক্কি করে ফালাই দেয়। আমাদের ওই পানিতে তো হয় না, কেউ পাচ্ছে এবং কি কেউ পাচ্ছে না। পানির খুবই কষ্টকর, কেউ বাচ্চা কাছে আছে ফালাই থুয়া পানির জন্য উড়াউড়ি, মারামারি, ধরাধরি, রাহাজারি শুরু হয়ে যায়। মানে এরকম অবস্থা, পানি নিবে কি, কারাকারি লাগাই দেয়। এক গাড়ি পানি আসলে আমাদের কি হয় বলে?
By late afternoon, there are still hundreds of people desperately waiting for water. When the truck finally arrives, it is guarded by soldiers. The Bangladeshi army has been called in to keep order. Each family gets about 6 litres of water, clean enough to cook with, but not clean enough to drink without boiling.
এখন যা আনছে আগের রাত্রে বৃষ্টির পানিটা ধরে রাখছি, ওই পানিটা মনে করেন বালতিতে ছিল। এখন এইগুলো দিয়ে মানে কাজটা সারবো, তারপরে আবার যদি পানির আশায় যদি লাইন দেওয়া থাকে একটু পরে যাব, একটু পরে লাইন দিয়ে এখন আসার আগ পর্যন্ত লাইনে থাকতে হবে, দাঁড়ায় থাকতে হবে। কেন পানি খাই? পানির জন্যই তো এখন সমস্যা। চিন্তা করি যখনই আনি তখনই পোলাপানে ওই গরম গরম আনলে গরম কি আর খাওয়া যায়? অনেক সময় দেখা যাইতেছে নাও ফুটায় খাইতে মুখে দিয়া ফেলছে বাচ্চারা তার বুঝে না, ওরা তো মুখে দিয়া ফেলে, মগ ডুবাইয়াই খায় ফেলে।
তো আপনার কোনো বাচ্চার কখন অসুস্থ?
হ্যাঁ, ওই যে এই ছেলেটা তো মনে করেন পাতলা পায়খানা হইতেই থাকে, কলেরা হাসপাতাল হয়েছে, মহাখালী আছে না, আজ থেকে এই যে 15 দিন হবে, 15 দিন আগে, এখনও ভালো হয় না।
Dhaka is surrounded by rivers. but the water in them is too polluted for people to use. As the hot season drags on, the city's thirst is almost impossible to quench. With even a slight rise in temperature, clean water becomes scarce. The cholera hospital has never been busier.
Cholera can kill literally in hours. You can be a healthy, well-fed man or woman, adult, child. You can start being ill at 10 o'clock in the morning, you can be dead by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's also extremely infectious, so it can go through a community rapidly. The way in which cholera affects you is to produce huge volumes of diarrhea and also vomiting. The cholera toxin causes the guts to secrete literally litres and litres of fluid, which simply come out. And people lose so much fluid that they die. In the worst case scenario, you can get hundreds, if not thousands, of people just dropping down dead. And that's why it has this notoriety and stigma.
This is cholera bed or cholera cot, we say. There is a special hole on that side. We don't use any cloth because if there is any cloth, the cloth will be soaked by stool. Here with the patient lying there and just pass stool here. And the all stool goes to the downwards bottom bucket, and this is easily movable because this bed is very cramped like bed. So when the patient goes to or the patient number is decreased, we move this bed from the area. So it is very much effective for diarrheal disease management. ইসে দেলোয়ার পিডিয়ে দিয়ে একটা এন্টি দেখাই দিয়েন এটারে পরে
One of the big issues with management of people with cholera is getting enough fluid in, and people don't realise how much they're losing, and it's quite difficult when you're not feeling very well to drink the amounts that you need to drink.
Cholera patients recover by drinking a simple mixture of water, sugar and salt. It is known as oral rehydration solution, or ORS.
And one of the mainstays of our treatment here is a cadre of workers whose job is simply to go around and sit with the patients and make sure they're drinking enough ORS. But if you look at our wards, apart from the initial rehydration which happens in our triage area, if you walk onto any one of our wards, less than 10% of the patients will be receiving intravenous fluid because they're rehydrating orally. The average turnaround on our ward is about 1 day. So it kills rapidly, but you get better rapidly.
It is also can take, the patient is taking food, it's very key sign. ভাত কি এখান থেকে দিস না বাসা থেকে নিয়ে আসছে she is taking rice and fish, so I think she feels better. এমা স্যালাইন খাওয়ান না বাচ্চাকে একটু খাওয়ান তো দেখি কয়দিন থেকে ভর্তি দেখি very positive feelings that give me enjoy that I am enjoying very much. When the patient come by stretcher, he have no pulse, no response, and within few hours he can talk. Just a few minutes he can talk with me. So it's amazing that I give the pleasure, full pleasure on my profession, and I can share that by my hand I can give life to that case.
Well, actually in Dhaka very few people die of cholera every year, largely because of our hospital. And I don't mean that just to blow our own trumpet, but our case fatality rate is well under 1%, and actually, to be honest, if you arrive alive at our hospital, then you leave alive.
As quickly as this cholera epidemic arrives, it departs. But the deadly bacteria that caused it never fully disappears. Bangladesh is situated on the Ganges Delta, or what scientists call the homeland of cholera. In the past 2 centuries, the world has seen 7 cholera pandemics. 6 of them have originated here. Every week, one man from Dhaka hospital goes hunting for cholera.
আমার নাম হচ্ছে ABM আফজাল হোসেন। আমি ঢাকা শহরের যেগুলো আমাদের পয়েন্ট ঠিক করা হচ্ছে আগে থেকেই, ওখান থেকে মোট স্যাম্পলিং করলাম। আমি এটা আমার হচ্ছে জবের একটা পার্ট। আসলে ঢাকা রেগুলারই চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে। ঢাকা আমাদের ল্যাবে আগে বিভিন্ন জায়গায় স্যাম্পলিংয়ের জন্য পয়েন্টস কী করেছেন আমাদের স্যাররা আর কি। আমার স্যার ঢাকা শহরে বিভিন্ন জায়গায় পয়েন্ট সিলেক্ট করার পরে আমি হচ্ছে জাস্ট এটাই প্রতি সপ্তাহে প্রতি সপ্তাহে রবিবার আমি স্যাম্পলিং করি আর কি।
The water samples are taken to Dhaka Hospital, which is part of the International Centre for Diarrheal Disease Research, a world leader in its field. In the lab, the samples are put on Petri dishes and incubated overnight.
Here, these are the colonies that come from the bacteria up from the water after you culture the water. So here,
Scientists at the Diarrheal Research Centre track cholera all year round. They are led by Dr. Shah Farooq.
if we take 10 samples, depending on the season, if it is an epidemic season, then out of 10, maybe 8 will be positive. But if in a normal time when there is no epidemic, then it's very difficult to find one positive.
Dr. Farooq has found cholera to be extremely adaptable and cunning. It can go undetected for months, sometimes years, then explode once again into an epidemic.
The main advantage of bacteria or any microbes over human is their number. When we talk about bacteria, we usually never talk about one cell of bacteria. We talk about a population of bacteria, and that may be millions of bacteria. So even if you kill 99% of those bacteria, there will be enough left to bring the population back to the normal.
Dr. Farooq admires the resilience of cholera and of his fellow Bangladeshis.
When there is a big natural calamity or an epidemic, people get interested to come and look at it. But they don't see how this very large population are also living on a very small resources and living quite well, in fact. I mean, if you think about the availability of resources and all that, so these are very hardy people. They work a lot, they do everything well. But unfortunately, our media don't focus on that part of the people. They tend to focus on other things. So that's why you see this as a laboratory of infectious disease or whatever.
Cholera once wiped out thousands of people in London and New York, but it's long been eradicated in the developed world. Here in Dhaka, it is still a daily reality.
এই পাইপটা দিয়ে তারা খাবার পানি, গোসলের পানি সংগ্রহ করতেছে, আর এভাবেই তারা নিজেদেরকে অভ্যস্ত করে বসবাস করছে।
Anita is a field worker from Dhaka Hospital. She is going house to house, gathering surveillance data on cholera.
মারামারি করে না।
This is Mirpur, where most cholera patients come from.
বাসায় কেউ আছেন? আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আপা, আমি মহাখালী কলেরা হাসপাতাল থেকে আসছি ডায়রিয়ার উপর আপনাদের সাথে কথা বলার জন্য। এর আগেও তো আসছিলাম, এখন আবার আপনাদের সাথে কথা বলতে আসছি। আসবো? আপনি এই একটা রুম নিয়েই আছেন, রান্না করেন কোথায়? এই ঘরেই। আপনার সাথে কি আর কেউ রান্না করে ওইখানে? আচ্ছা, আপনি কি বোরিংয়ের পানিটা কি ফুটিয়ে খাচ্ছেন?
না।
কলের সম্বন্ধে ওরা অনেক পরিচিত, কারণ এটা ওদের একেবারে ডেইলি রুটিন বলতে গেলে। আজকে সুস্থ থাকলে কালকে অসুস্থ থাকে। তো এটার শুনলে ভয় পায় না, বরং এটা থেকে ওরা মানে নিষ্কাশন হবে, কিভাবে উত্তীর্ণ হবে, এই রোগটা থেকে মুক্তি পাবে, সেটা শুনলে তারা খুবই খুশি হয়।
Anita is laying the groundwork for an historic study on a new cholera vaccine. She and a small army of field workers are enrolling 250,000 people to take part in the study, the largest of its kind.
It's a very important time for us in Bangladesh, where we take a vaccine that we have needed for many, many years, half a century, and we finally have a vaccine that we can take to all age groups, affordable enough that people can use it and hopefully prevent a lot of diarrhea, a lot of cholera in the settings like ours.
As Anita continues her surveillance, the vaccine has arrived in Dhaka. Hundreds of thousands of vaccine doses are being stockpiled at a government storehouse. The hope is that it will not only protect those who have been vaccinated, but will interrupt the transmission of cholera to a much wider community.
What we want to see is whether, if this vaccine is delivered through the government's vaccination systems, it can have an impact on cholera at a large scale.
Six months have passed, and it is time to deliver the cholera vaccine.
The vaccine now that is available to the world is an affordable vaccine that you can just drink it from the bottle. But it's never been brought to a place that actually needs the vaccine, which has biannual epidemics of cholera every year, and a third time if there's a natural disaster, if there's a flood, any place there is a cyclone anywhere in Bangladesh, sure enough we'll have cholera.
Where clean water is scarce and sanitation is rudimentary, a cholera vaccine is the only option. In Dhaka, it will be 2 years before the impact of this mass vaccination will be fully understood. If successful, the program could be repeated across Bangladesh and in other countries too, giving hope to people where cholera still thrives.